Oh man, oh man, oh man, check it out. Just got back from the bank. I've been following Dave Ramsey my entire life, and all of the money in my retirement account sitting right here. We're about to check out how much there is, and I'm excited. I hope it's enough for the retirement that me and my wife and family have been dreaming of. Ooh. All right, let's see how we did. There's a lot less in here than I thought. Okay, these are $10,000 amounts. So let's see. That's 50. That's 100,000. I guess that makes this 200,000. 250,000. The average American right now at the age of 65 retires with $255,000 between 401ks and IRAs, and they're expected to make a life out of that for the next several decades that modern medicine will keep them alive for. And it's people like Dave Ramsey that have everyone following a system of get out of debt, pay off your credit cards, pay off your house, load it up in a 401k and IRA, and it's going to be enough? I think not. One shot, now the future is yours. Go! So if you take a look at the modern American game plan, basically it leaves you at retirement with around $250,000 in 401ks and IRAs. And you have to ask yourself, is this going to be enough money? Because already when you're 55 years old, peak earnings is right around $94,000 a year. And so if you get accustomed to living off of $75,000 or $80,000, then this is basically enough money for 3 years of retirement at best. And you know what? You're not going to run out of money in 3 years. So what you're going to do instead is probably not retire, get a job. You're going to massively reduce your income. If you're forced retirement, then you're going to have to figure out how to all of a sudden cut your expenses back and live on a whole lot less. But in today's video, I'm going to show you how to do something different, because there's no reason why you should be retiring with thousands or tens of thousands of dollars when you could be retiring with millions of dollars without taking any unnecessary risks. So today we are going to be talking about Dave Ramsey, because I think he is kind of the modern father figure for this whole notion of pinch your pennies, save your money, be smart with your money, don't go into debt. And I have to applaud him because on one hand, this is a much needed, very important message, because remember, 62% of Americans right now in this recession are living paycheck to paycheck. And before you can have really big dreams, you first have to look for hope. In other words, how do I pay my bills? How do I make sure that I don't get my mortgage foreclosed on and get kicked out of my house and go to the streets? Or how do I put food on the table? Or how do I pay for, the increases in gas prices? And so there is a huge place in the world for who Dave is. Who is Dave Ramsey? Well, he's a personal finance expert and best-selling author who's helped millions of people achieve financial success through his books, radio show, Financial Peace University program. He's known for his no-nonsense approach to managing money and his emphasis on living debt-free. And my friends, I gotta tell you, I have met so many people that have followed Dave Ramsey, and they are what I would call Dave Ramseyites. And what's interesting is that they're really caught up with this beautiful fervor of get out of debt, pay things off. And when you talk to them, they're always proud of, oh, this is how much I have left to pay off my credit cards, or now I'm debt free on my credit cards. Now I'm working on my mortgage. I'm trying to get it paid down. But there is one potential shortcoming that most people aren't aware of. In the accumulation mindset of work hard and pay stuff off, you are using up a very valuable resource. Any idea what it is? It's time. So Dave's core principles are found and known by baby steps. And these core principles are step-by-step planned approach to how you achieve financial freedom, the way that he defines it. And so step one, save $1,000 for an emergency fund. When you have no money in the bank, or you're struggling, or you're living hand to mouth, getting $1,000 in the bank that you don't touch is an excellent first step. The second baby step is to pay off your debts using the debt snowball. That means if you have multiple debts, multiple credit cards, you're gonna take the smallest one, you're gonna get it paid off, and then you're going to take whatever money you had left over and the debt servicing you were paying there, you're gonna apply it to the second one. It's gonna pay off faster. The snowball is gonna pick up momentum, the third, the fourth, and you're gonna do this until you're totally out of debt. The third baby step, save 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. So whereas you started with $1,000, now you're graduating and saying, oh shoot, I spend $25,000 every 6 months, so that's how much money I now need to put in my reserves to be safe. The fourth baby step, invest 15% of your income into retirement accounts. So this is, hey, load it up in that 401k because of the free money, load it up in your IRA, those are your retirements. Baby step number 5, save for the children's college expenses. In other words, now that you're getting money put into a 401k and IRA, now that you have your credit cards paid off, now that you have an emergency fund, next, you should be thinking about the baby costs, you should be thinking about college and getting those knocked down. And then you graduate to the 6th step, which basically says, get your mortgage paid off entirely so that you're 100% debt-free. Is it really financially free to achieve those 6 steps, or is it more financial security? In my world, there's actually 3 definitions. There's financial security, which means you don't have problems with debts and your baseline expenses. Then you have financial independence, where your current lifestyle is paid for by your passive income. And then you have financial freedom. And this is where you have enough passive income that it's paying for your desired lifestyle. Or in other words, the life that you really want to be living. And something that a lot of people don't realize is that just because you don't have debts doesn't mean you buy food. No debt doesn't mean you can travel. No debt doesn't mean you can give to philanthropy. No debt simply means that you've knocked out some of your biggest expenses. And the question is this: how much time is it going to take you to do that? Because if you use too many of those precious years, then you don't have the ability to do one of my first steps, which is none of these 6. It's taking your hard-earned cash and learning how to invest it so that your money can work for you. So ultimately, there's got to be some kind of balance in the strategy of, I do need to learn to live within my means. I do definitely want to get out of expensive debts. But on this side of the fence, if you have really manageable, inexpensive debts, I'd rather take my hard-earned cash and say, could you be sitting in real estate earning 25 or 35% for me? Could you be sitting in a business that is earning me hundreds of percent ROI? At the end of the day, we have to be really careful with how we budget that money. Ramsey recommends that people create a monthly budget and stick to it. This involves tracking all income and expenses and prioritizing spending on necessities. He also recommends using cash instead of credit cards to help people avoid overspending. My wife and I, when we got started, before we could really invest in real estate, this is actually what we were doing. And there were 2 goals. Getting out of debt was one of them, and the other one was saving up enough money so that we could buy an investment property. There's somebody out there for everybody. And you know, Dave is perfect for some people, but for me, and maybe for you who's a subscriber on this channel, I find him not a little, but a lot too conservative. Dave Ramsey is a big believer in the traditional retirement strategy: work hard, save hard, and invest in an IRA, 401k, and index funds. The problem is that the math for the strategy doesn't actually work in practice. The average 10% return of the stock market is actually a misleading number, and even if you get that percentage, it's outpaced by rising prices and inflation. For example, the average 30-year ROI on a 401k, 5%. An IRA, 7%. It used to be with the S&P that it was 10%, and people like to state that, but right now it's fallen under 8%. Blended return for most people with their mutual funds, indexes, 401ks, and IRAs sits right around 6%. Now, there's some math to this that I want to show you because it's actually kind of scary, but it illustrates the power of compound interest. All right, check this out. Did you know that if you had, let's call it $50,000, currently in 401ks, IRAs, or any other kind of basic retirement accounts. So the way that this actually graphs is over, let's call it a 20-year period of time, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And over here, we're starting with $50,000. And let's just say that up here is $5 million. So a pretty big difference. Well, if you have your money sitting in 401ks, IRAs, and retirement accounts over 20 years, this 50K grows to about $160,000. Now, this isn't quite proportional, but if that same $50,000 were invested at real estate, let's say earning 25%, then over 20 years, that becomes $4.3 million. Your retirement's tripled from $50,000 to $160,000. Meanwhile, real estate over 20 years compounding at 25% ended up producing 27 times more money. It's a landslide of a difference. And you can't take advantage of that if you don't have time on your side, which is why if you follow Dave Ramsey's 6 baby steps, you may end up spending so much time building reserves when you could be investing. You might spend so much time paying off your house or other things that at the end of the day, you've lost out on time. And without time, you cannot become wealthy. At retirement, while you might have $255,000 in 401ks and IRAs, you traditionally have more equity in your primary residence than that. And yet, is this actually classified as an asset? Most people think of their house as an investment. This is a misconception. A primary residence can be used to invest through an equity line of credit, but there is no positive cash flow coming from the house that you live in. If you follow Dave Ramsey's advice to only pay all cash or take a high payment 15-year mortgage to buy your house, you have much less personal liquidity to invest in actual wealth building assets. In other words, you're basically putting your money in jail. 401k jail, IRA jail, home equity jail, and most people with that mindset don't have really anything left over to be invested with, nor do they actually have leftover time. What that ultimately means? You do have other alternatives. Take your retirement. Take the equity in your home. It's not too late. Instead of just paying crap off, it's time to start investing. And that doesn't have to mean high risk. In fact, I believe there is a strategy of real estate investing that is low risk compared to these options because these are knowns. You can do the math. You know that it's not going to work. It's not going to be enough. There will be no lucky windfall. And if it's guaranteed not to work, that means it's broken. But what you can do is explore alternatives where, yes, there may be some risk involved, but what you actually have is a possibility, a greater chance of actually winning. So if you click the link below, you can learn about partnering with me. If you have money in a 401k, an IRA, or equity in a home or savings, and you feel like you might be able to do something more intelligently, but you just don't know where to start, I've done $2 billion worth of real estate investing, over 6,500 single family homes, and I publish a track record on all of my results. And if you want to look at that track record, if you want to see what I'm doing, and if you want to see how to make 27 times more money than your current strategy, click the link below, let me show you. Let's say that you want to retire in your 30s. I'm telling you, my friend, you'd have to start doing things drastically different than a 401k or an IRA or just trying to get things accumulated and paid off. If you want to know an accelerated way, click right here and let me show you how to get it done in your 30s.